Caleb.
Hello, A Day with Caleb. We are back doing underrated TV shows. We did animated shows. Now we're doing TV shows, kind of mostly game shows, a few regular TV shows. So let's get right into it. The last one had 15. This one has 14. I should do one more, but uh, I don't know if I can. Actually, I think I can add a 15th. So let's do the 15 TV shows that are underrated. Most of you probably do not remember that show. Who Done It? Such a great premise, such a great idea. Uh, People always do these like murder mystery, like where you go and eat and then you solve a mystery. That is what this show was. It's a game show where you solve a murder mystery every episode until the end, and you get lots of money wasted. Wasted. Uh, the show was great. Why would you not renew for a second season? Maybe the second season wouldn't have been as good. Who knows? It was a great cast, a great uh, competition, so who knows if that would have translated to a new season, but who knows? We'll never know. Such a great premise. You had all these contestants, and one by one they would die, fake deaths, of course, and then their peers or friends, fellow contestants, would have clues throughout the mansion, and they would have a test, and the closest to solving the whole case, putting together all the clues, how they died, the facts of how it happened, every detail, much like another show on this list that we'll mention. But the people that did not pass the test would be scared, as they say. You would either be spared or scared. If you were scared, you could die. And so that intrigue, that suspense, the mystery of it, trying to, me and my brother, solve each mystery each week. So cool. And that is why it's number one underrated TV show. Let's go to number two. The same company, CBS, did both these shows, and neither one were picked up for a second season. This being Pirate Master Bruckheimer, who did Survivor. You were right in the Pirates of the Caribbean craze, uproar. You had all that interest, and this was a fantastic show. Did not get a second season, but you had all these contestants. You would have a captain, then officers, and then the crew. Each week, the pirate master or captain and his crew would compete with other crew members against the other crew members for the booty or the gold. each week earning what the captain decided. If you won, he would decide how much you would get. So you want to win these expeditions and earn that money, the gold, and then at the end, the last two competed to see who would be pirate master and ultimately win. Uh, I think, was it 500,000, 500,000, I believe. Such a good arc for the season. You had the triad, these three guys who won almost every week, pretty much every week, controlled the whole ship. Then they had these kind of spies, if you will, and they just infiltrated the whole ship, controlled who would give the black spot, be voted out. Just such underrated shows. The last video, I had a Nickelodeon shirt. Did not mention any of those animated shows as being underrated because I believe most people are familiar with Rugrats or Wild Thornberrys, but these TV game shows, well, maybe are familiar, but I completely think they're underrated. We'll start with my favorite one. That is Guts. Do You Have It? Such a great show. The video game on Super Nintendo, lit, awesome. Recently just played that in my video game playlist, so go check that out. So fun. If you've never played that game, go have a look at the video and see how it is. Not the best gamer, but I do try. We actually went on the backstage Nickelodeon tour, and during that time, they were filming Guts, so we got to see some competition while we were backstage. If you did not know, there's this big, like, walkway, like, glass thing where all these shows were filming at the different sound stages, and you would walk with your tour guide, and that day happened to be a day they were filming Guts. So we trained to be on Guts. Unfortunately, I think a year and a half later, they did close the Guts. It was canceled. I believe the studio closed maybe 7, 8 years after that. Anyway, so Guts, Double Dare, we would watch, but not as much as Guts. Guts, great show. We're getting to another great show next, so stay tuned. Another great, underrated Nickelodeon game show, Legends of the Hidden Temple. I believe there's a movie that Nickelodeon did. I've tried my best to find anything about it, but I think it was just released online for a short time. There's a board game. There's shirts, which would be awesome. I would probably get gray or blue, because they won a lot of the times, even though red is my favorite color. Probably red. I would get maybe the red team. But such a great game show for kids. You would compete in games to collect these tokens, then go through the maze. If these temple guards caught you, you would have to give them a token. If you ran out of tokens, you obviously lost. But if you went through the whole thing and won, both of you would win a trip somewhere, Bahamas or Hawaii. Endurance by Discovery Kids. That was our jam for 6 seasons. 6 years in a row, we would watch this show every Saturday. I think like 10 a.m. it would come on. Especially season 2, returning players, the gray team, or gray team. Yeah, they were gray team. Came back, won. A lot of storylines. Seasons 4 and 5, I think, were kind of less familiar to me. We did watch them, but I just a couple months ago I rewatched seasons 1 through 6 again, and those two were kind of less familiar. I remembered less about them, but great kids competition show with these great games, puzzles. You had the temple pieces, courage, strength, all these attributes. At the end, you would put them on the table and have like a cat and mouse game to win a trip to Hawaii. I keep saying Hawaii. I forget where else. Galapagos Islands, I think, was one. The Amazon, Africa. But such a great show. They recently did a show called Karma that feels just like Endurance. I'm going to have to look and see where I can watch the show. Was it HBO Max? I think put it out, maybe. So need to get around to finding where I could see that show. But Endurance, such a great show. Go find it on YouTube. It's there somewhere. Go look it up. Tales from the Crypt. I forget the official title. This might be Tales from the Crypt Keeper, maybe. It was the game show, not the comic-based TV show. This was the game show based on the TV show that's based on the comic book, if that makes sense. But you would get these like games that the Crypt Keeper would do, collecting points, I think. I'm less familiar with this show, but I do remember it, and it's very underrated because most people just think of the TV show or the comic. They don't think of the game show, which in concept is a weird thing. Who would want kids competing for the Crypt Keeper? But cool nonetheless, so that is why it's on the underrated TV shows list. The Mole. Who remembers this show? Whether it was the British original version of The Mole, great. The US version, excellent. I'm referring, overall, yes, The Mole show, but I'm referring specifically to the 2 seasons of Celebrity Mole. So great. You had Stevie B, Stephen Baldwin, Corbin Burnson were in back-to-back seasons. So great. Years later, I would meet Corbin Burnson. Go check out Celebrities I've Met playlist if you want to check out Celebrities I've Met. But such an underrated show. You had one mole in the group, and the group was trying to earn money, and the mole would try and make you lose as much money as possible without tipping it off that he or she was the mole. Such a great show. Eric Von Detten of Brink fame was on there the first season. Dennis Rodman was on the second season, I believe. So you had these celebrities competing and trying to figure out who the mole was. Stephen Baldwin and Corbin Burnson went way out on the second season, and they pretty much solved it, but they overthought it uh, and ultimately lost kind of early on in the show. But Mole number 7. Thanks for joining. That was part 1 of this underrated TV shows. Stay tuned in a couple of days for part 2. You don't want to miss the back half of this top 15 underrated shows. So subscribe if you're new to the channel, share with a movie TV lover. Until next time, guys, part 2. Keep collecting.